During the years of the Great Depression, Hoovervilles sprang up across America. What was a Hooverville? Why was it called that? As the Great Depression continued to worsen, many who had lost their jobs were forced to leave their homes. With no place to live, these individuals, and even entire families, were forced to find shelter wherever they could. In many cases, the only option was for the homeless to construct shacks or shanties made out of anything and everything they could find. Boxes, wooden crates, tar paper, and even old sheets were being utilized as makeshift homes. Villages of these shacks sprang up in parks and empty plots of land throughout the country. Many cities would not allow the homeless to congregate in this manner, so the shacks would show up on the outskirts of town or just outside of city limits. The term shantytown became quite common to describe these types of dwellings. However, because so many in the nation saw President Herbert Hoover as being responsible for the economic woes, a new name emerged. Many began calling these villages Hoovervilles. In 1932, a disgruntled group of homeless World War I veterans decided to create a Hooverville inside Washington, D.C. They placed their little community on the National Mall, in between the Washington and Lincoln monuments. Another Hooverville was set up just across the Potomac River, where it could be seen by those in Washington, D.C. Between the two locations, more than 15,000 veterans, their wives, and children had gathered together. Their purpose was to protest Congress and the President, demanding that they receive money they felt was owed to them. In 1924, the War Adjustment Act had been passed. This law stated that all veterans would be paid a bonus to make up for the wages they could have been making during the war. Unfortunately, this money was not supposed to be paid until 1944. In the midst of the economic hardships they were facing, these veterans insisted that the money be paid sooner rather than later. They referred to themselves as the Bonus Expeditionary Force. The Bonus Expeditionary Force was told by the authorities to disperse and return to their homes. However, many of them didn't have a home to return to. Nearly 2,000 members of this bonus army refused to leave. President Hoover ordered General Douglas MacArthur to remove them from the city. Using tear gas and rifles, troops quickly cleared the National Mall before crossing the Potomac to move on to the second camp. The nation was in shock. American soldiers had attacked homeless veterans, setting fire to their shacks and huts. The veterans and their families fled Washington, D.C., but received no better treatment in other places. Virginia, Maryland, and Pennsylvania all instructed them to keep moving along. Former soldiers, sailors, and Marines, who had once been thought of as heroes, were now viewed as thieves and degenerates. Once again, many saw Herbert Hoover as the source of this dilemma. Voters would express their disgust with the president when they went to the polls in November of 1932.